What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another exciting installment of the Roundtable Network News. It is episode 32, and because it is episode 32, I thought I would bring in the originator, not the duplicator himself, your boy, Drew Nicholas. Drew, what is up, man?
Well, it's a little weird to be back here on the news. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been since like early last year, I think, or mid last year,
Mid
sometime.
last year, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm good, and as we were about to start this show, talk about breaking news.
Right? Well, Drew, there are some things that we do on this show now. Let's go ahead and hit this real quick for you, just for you. Breaking news from Drew.
The final boss is going to be on SmackDown tomorrow night.
Wow, man. Just the most random thing that happened on a Thursday night.
Yeah, literally just dropped about 10 minutes ago. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tweeted, "Bold and disruptive, unpredictable and dangerous. The final boss returns live on SmackDown tomorrow at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on the USA Network." What a nice, pretty image. Breaking news. The final boss returns tomorrow.
Well, man, you heard it here.
On top of that, there was also a press release that was sent out a couple minutes, even a couple minutes after that, which was WWE, part of TKO Group Holdings, today announced that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will appear on SmackDown live from the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern on the USA Network. And a quote, strap in, from WWE's Chief Content Officer, Triple H Levesque. When the final boss shows up at this time of year, the audience knows absolutely anything is possible. Everything could change in an instant. So,
I mean, you know, WrestleMania plans have changed like 4 or 5 times already. So,
yes, and last year's infamous turned to famous WrestleMania moment was The Rock coming back and taking Cody's spot.
Oh, that's right. Right around this time last year too, which is even crazier.
Yeah, I believe it was like early February, I think it was. It was like a week or two after the Royal Rumble. Yep. And yeah, so we're firing on all cylinders right now, and there's been so many things that have come out about the WrestleMania matches that were supposedly supposed to happen already this year, but have been changed. You know, Drew McIntyre was supposedly supposed to be doing something else, and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns were supposed to be doing other things, but now it looks like maybe they're going to be involved in a triple threat match with CM Punk. And now,
so weird.
The final boss is back. If it's not, so there's speculation right now. This is not a report, but there's speculation out there right now that because it's been, you know, the feelers have been pretty much put out there that WWE is going to announce that they're doing WrestleMania in New Orleans again for next year's WrestleMania 42. Maybe The Rock is there to announce that, which, sure, that's nice. But, you know, he could also cause chaos if he wants.
So there's been so much breaking news. Right now, breaking news on Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp is on there right now. And he is talking about how Tony Khan ghosted Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon wanted some equity in the WWE. We were discussing it earlier in our group chat. So much craziness is happening. You know, me and Josh have a saying that the wrestling news never stops. Literally. It never literally
for at least a year now.
We've been on this podcast for 5 minutes and 3 seconds, and already another story has broke. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Oh, wrestling? So this is a different story from the. Yeah, this is like an update to the Tony Khan.
I'm guessing it's an update. I don't have the volume on, but he's literally right now. Sean Ross Sapp is on YouTube, and here, look.
Fightful Select. But we were able to talk to someone close to Shane McMahon who confirmed.
Oh, I didn't know he was on YouTube right now.
Effectively run a lot of things.
Okay.
But did not.
Yeah, like right now, live. like I said, man, the
so
news
many.
never
There's like 5 news stories alone
in like 10
today.
minutes. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, let's get into our news stories. I'll let you take the first one since you found that Shane's dad is actually having his final match.
So, Goldberg announced today on the CarCast podcast, which is it's his podcast. I wasn't aware of that. That he will be having his final match in WWE in the summertime. So he said, quote, "Like I said, I've got a match in sometime this summer. I don't know exactly when it is, but I know it's coming up, and I know at 58 years old, I got to be in my underwear in front of everybody, and I hold a very high standard of myself. So I need to get to work yesterday. But the long-term benefit and the benefit for me in the ring will be much more if I just calm my ass down."
Oh, that's facts.
Facts. So this past October this was reported by Post Wrestling. This past October at the Bad Blood premium live event, there was a segment involving Goldberg and current World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. Gunther said in a media appearance that if Goldberg wants to face him in a match, he's more than willing to take on the challenge. Now, is that what it's going to end up being? I don't know. We have, of course. Okay, well, I'm not going to say that this is set in stone anymore because anything can happen at this point.
Literally.
But Jey Uso is supposed to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So is that still happening now? I don't know. Is The Rock coming this time to steal Jey Uso's spot like he did last year with Cody? I don't know. But yeah, so Goldberg final match some point in 2025 in the summertime. I'm gonna assume that means SummerSlam because aside from like the one before SummerSlam, what other pay-per-view or PLE rather would they be talking about here? So I'm gonna assume Goldberg has his last match at SummerSlam. Will it be against Gunther? We do not know yet.
Well, I mean, if Gunther is no longer the world heavyweight champion, then I can see that match happening. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I really hope and pray to God they never put the title on Goldberg ever again. But that's just me. That's how I feel about it, and it is what it is. So I prefer for them to push the younger talent, Ricky Starks. I'm sorry, Ricky Saints, guys like that. As opposed to bringing in a 58-year-old Goldberg. As a 50-year-old man, I wouldn't want a company to like put me in the main event of a show when some younger guys been busting his ass all year long trying to get to that part of the card. So I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. So another story, post wrestling, Sonya Deville details her release from the WWE. Deville was a member of the Pure Fusion Collective group that was basically broadcast a lot or showcased a lot on Monday Night Raw alongside Shayna Baszler and Zoe Starks. She put a tell-all video on her and her wife's YouTube channel, Daria and Tony Unwrapped. I gotta watch it now. Deville revealed, say that twice. Deville revealed that she and the WWE were in the middle of negotiations when she learned that the company was not looking to extend her contract. That's crazy because we were all like, why are they not extending her contract? Mm-hmm. She states this. A lot of you guys know 10 days ago now, I got the call. My contract was not being renewed by the WWE. I was in Washington, D.C. for a cheer tournament with our little one. I was actually running on the treadmill, working out with the older one, Giovanna, and I got off the phone. Well, I got a phone call. We're in the middle of negotiations, so I thought the phone was going to be like, yeah, middle ground, that we met on an agreement, contract, and it was blah, blah, blah. We're not renewing your contract so far. That sucks as far as I'm concerned. That fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah.
She goes
especially
on to
when
say
you're already in negotiations for a new contract.
Yeah.
They haven't said, oh, so we're thinking of not renewing you, and then all of a sudden they just
Exactly.
say, oh, we're definitely not renewing you.
She's done. They go on. She goes on a lot of things. She's been in the WWE for like 10 years, dude. She says, first and foremost, I had the greatest 10 years of my life. So grateful the story on the road, the stories on the road, the traveling, the wrestling, the performing. I lived out the dreams that I could have never imagined. I did imagine them. I think I've manifested them as a child, but never could ever dream something so incredible. So grateful to the WWE. At the end of the day, it's a business. I think business minded. So for whatever reason, look, I'm just gonna say this. I remember when Daria got signed. She's a friend of a friend who's a talent scout for the WWE. He found her working at a Starbucks. She was doing MMA, working at a Starbucks in North Hollywood, California. She's a really cool chick. Her and Mandy Rose, best friends. They have Demandy's donuts or whatever it's called. They literally would travel around and go test donuts. And when they come to Portland, I would get them to go to like Voodoo Donuts, Blue Star Donuts. I would introduce them to like the donut culture here. They're really nice people. Look, when Sonya Deville left WWE the first time due to the stalker incidents and all the stuff that was going on, we all were like, we hope she comes back and things become even better for her. Then she came back. She suffered an ACL injury in 2023. Took her almost a whole year to come back to TV. Literally, she was one of the world tag team champions and had to like relinquish the title because she was hurt. Like, dude, like she's had a very storied career in the WWE, but kind of a bad run, after Mandy Rose left. She had like a bad run. So shout out to her, man. I just hope that she lands somewhere and she continues to grow and prosper like Mandy did. Like there are so many things that can happen. So shout out to Sonya Deville, man.
Absolutely. She had only won the women's tag team titles one time in her entire run in WWE. That's insane to think that you could be in for that long between NXT and the main roster and never won anything but the women's tag team championship. Like, so many other titles now in this company, and for even the women now, with the new women's IC and US championship.
Exactly.
And they went, we're not going to renew her contract after talking to her and being in negotiations to renew a contract. So that's unfortunate, and I hope that she is able to. I pretty much am like, I think she's definitely going to find work elsewhere if she wants to continue in wrestling. So hopefully we find her soon in another company if that's what she wants, and I'm sure that he would happily sign her.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. Oh man! So speaking of Sonya Deville, a former MMA fighter, Drew, can you explain to me this Fightful story?
What a story! What a story this one is. This is probably one of the most insane ones of the week, aside from The Rock just happening. So it turns out, Blood, that
wait before you start, Curtis, this story is courtesy of Fightful Select. You can always give them the credit.
Yes. It turns out Vince McMahon is an absolute insane maniac, which we all pretty much knew already.
Oh my God.
The Hump yesterday, Fightful's podcast on YouTube with Sean Ross Sapp and Jimmy Van, they noted that there was a lot of frustration right now, currently, with the women's division. And they cited the Royal Rumble of 2022 as an example of past frustrations within the division. And everyone was asking them, why is it that was a specific Royal Rumble was cited? It turns out a whole bunch of stuff happened as a result of
I remember this happening.
Yeah, so I didn't even remember all of this stuff. So a couple of things. One, TJ Wilson, aka Tyson Kidd, walked away for a period of time. I forgot about this ahead of that Royal Rumble in 2022, and one of the reasons that Fightful was given was that the vision that Vince McMahon had was so off the wall that there was trouble coexisting with it. The thing that they love doing in WWE television.
That dirty C word.
people in the company couldn't even coexist with Vince McMahon because of how wacky this idea was. And here is the idea, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for this? I hope you're sitting down. It turns out that for the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble, Vince McMahon pitched to have Ronda Rousey, who was just returning on her second run in the company at that time. The idea that he had for her, that he pitched, was that she would eliminate every single woman from the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble.
So let me get this straight. Ronda Rousey would legitimately come in at like number 1 and then eliminate everybody?
Everybody. So when they say, I'm going to the Royal Rumble and I'm going to throw 29 other superstars out of the Royal Rumble, and that's never actually what ends up happening.
I mean, it's hyperbole.
It could have.
It probably would have if he just stayed in power,
Yeah, maybe it probably would have. So that was going to be her first match back, of course we know. Early on, Vince was very steadfast in wanting to do something like this because they had Rousey on a full-time advanced schedule for all of 2022. Eventually, she was brought back, entered number 28 that year, and eliminated 4 people, lasted 10 minutes, and ended up winning the match. It also turns out that Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné had been pitched by many other people to win that match as well. And there were also frustrations with Vince McMahon, as the vast majority of the cameos that had happened in that Royal Rumble had no real plan. Vince basically instructed them, get in, get out. So this includes Summer Rae, Sarah Logan, who ends up coming back to WWE later on, Kelly, Melina, Molly Holly, and Ivory.
Oh, don't forget Cameron of the Funkadactyls.
Yes. All of these women spent a minute or less in that match under Vince's directive because he just wanted them there and then gone in an instant. At least 4 cameos, the report includes. WWE had planned for that year, rejected WWE's overtures to be in the Royal Rumble, and these are very interesting women that declined that year's Royal Rumble, particularly because of one of these women who was just a women's champion in the company. These four women included Peyton Royce, Billie Kay of the Iconics, and Nia Jax.
I mean, you can kind of see that, I mean, so I know for a fact that Billie Kay and Peyton Royce were like they were like pet projects for TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd.
Yes.
Like he brought them up from NXT. He like cultivated them to be like a real tag team. Like I always say this, and we've been talking about it like for months on the show. There aren't really any real women's tag teams on the main roster, but at NXT they have a bunch of real women's tag teams. Like the Meta Girls, they're like one of the top tag teams down there. You know what I mean? Like they look like a tag team, they function like a tag team. And you got Naomi and Bianca, who are kind of working and looking like a tag team, but there's still 2 singles women involved in that. Like you can tell by them, I'm going to be in the chamber and I'm going to win. I'm going to be in the chamber and I'm going to win. Not like we're in the chamber and we're going to win. Right. So I mean, I can understand why some of those women didn't want to be in the Rumble. TJ Wilson's like a fucking genius when it comes to putting together women's matches.
Well, if you're just being there to be fed to Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to be, I mean, I live by the philosophy, pin me, pay me, but come on, dude. That's ridiculous.
That would have been absolutely ridiculous, and it's wonderful that somebody finally talked him out of that idea.
People complain about Charlotte Flair. Man, at least Charlotte Flair was groomed for professional wrestling. She wasn't let me throw Ronda Rousey in there and just have her destroy every woman in on the roster. It's ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, Drew, Fightful Select and Wrestle Talk reported that in the summer of 2024, that Shane McMahon, son of Vincent Kennedy McMahon, brother of Stephanie McMahon, brother-in-law of Triple H, who had left wrestling to go do his own thing, that Shane McMahon and Tony Khan met in Texas. Since then, we've heard the follow-up was a plan. They had planned to work together. Yeah, today, February 20th, former WWE broadcaster Jonathan Coachman, the coach, on his show, Coach and Bro Show, said that this was basically like the details of the meeting. Apparently, uh, Shane McMahon was asking Tony Khan for some equity in the company in AEW. He also wanted to come in and run the entire show. Jonathan Coachman stated that Tony Khan straight up ghosted Vince McMahon's son. He ghosted Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
We can't verify the request for the equity part. However, we've heard more about the meeting between the two sides. According to a source close to Shane McMahon, Khan did not follow up with Shane. The sources also claimed that he couldn't speak on the desire for equity, but that it seemed like Shane McMahon did want to run things, but didn't have the product knowledge or familiarity with AEW or their business model. Okay, look. Tony Khan running AEW, running Ring of Honor. We witnessed a very interesting AEW Dynamite last night. It was really interesting, to say the least. Tony Khan does need help. Tony Khan needs help with the production. I mean, with the overall product of AEW. AEW and WWE are two different products. I love the fact that we have two different things that we can watch each week. You know, WWE is more sports entertainment, AEW is more wrestling. You know, kind of like back in the day with WWE and WCW or NWA. You know, we have options. We have New Japan, we have TNA. You know, we have options now, and I love it. I love the options. Okay, but to have Shane McMahon, someone who has been involved in WrestleMania, someone that's been involved in building a sports entertainment juggernaut. You really, I mean, I honestly, I would be like, hey, you know what? I can give you this, and I can allow you to do this. This would be the contract for us to do this. Like, I would work with Shane McMahon. But then, you know, there are those fears that when a McMahon gets involved in another company, that is automatically a takeover out.
Yeah,
you know,
that's. I'm going to be honest with you. I actually am okay with him. Not like I don't disagree that. I don't disagree that Tony Khan needs help. However, I kind of do agree that while that help could come in the form of Shane McMahon, what it's reported potentially that Shane wanted, I probably would not have wanted Shane McMahon to do that, because to have equity in the company, now again, Fightful did report they can't verify the request for equity, but there's something about a McMahon trying to take over a company that's happened in the past, a company or two, quite a number of them.
And you can look at it like maybe he's actually just wanting to get back into the business and help. And that would be great if he just wanted to get back into business and help. But when you're saying you want equity in someone's company, you want you want to be like The Rock. The Rock has so much stock and so much so much stock in TKO Sports or TKO and WWE. Like literally he owns more stock than the WWE owns. You know, he owns more stock than anyone else. And he really can control the situation. He can change the narrative anytime he wants to because he owns that much stock. He literally is the new Vince McMahon, minus all the allegations and things. But you know, he's the new Vince McMahon.
Thankfully.
So for Tony Khan to be like, hey, you know what? I mean, we talk about Tony Khan on this podcast a lot, making horrible decisions. But when you bring in a McMahon, you have to be leery of them trying to take over.
Yeah, and again, it's not that Shane would even do it, but I feel like most likely we will have, he'll always have that like speculation in his mind of like, okay, I allowed him to have equity in my company, but is he going to try and take over in some way? And you know, the funny thing is, because I remember back when Tony Khan announced that he took Ring of Honor, he became the president of Ring of Honor. I don't know if you remember when he was doing that promo in the ring. He was like, after he said like, I've just signed on to be the new president of Ring of Honor. I now own Ring of Honor. And then he looked in the camera smiling. He's like, it's not Shane. It's not Shane. It's me. because
Oh
of
yeah, because of the WCW
the
thing.
WCW thing. And which I found hilarious that he
He's a
went.
huge mark for WCW. I love it. I love it. I ain't gonna lie.
But yeah, but then to kind of like have that actually play out in real life for his company, if something were to happen and then it turns out Shane maybe could try and get a lawsuit going to get control of AEW somehow.
I mean, hey, funnier things have happened in professional wrestling.
I know. So I'm actually I'm not against Tony Khan for declining Shane McMahon getting equity in the company.
Oh no, 100%. Like I mean, like I said, we criticize Tony Khan a lot for some of the decisions he makes because let's just be honest, some of the decisions are stupid. But this may have been this may have been the smartest decision Tony Khan has made.
Yeah, I've seen universal praise for this pretty much on social media.
I mean, no, I'm not hating on you, Shane McMahon, but I'm just saying Tony Khan, probably the smartest thing you could have ever done. So from WWE, from Shane McMahon to TNA, let's talk about your boy Jake something.
Yeah, so Jake something, he has been injured from torn bicep, and he has launched a GoFundMe after his surgery. TNA star Jake something, this comes from Mike Johnson at PW Insider. TNA star Jake something has launched a GoFundMe campaign to assist in the cost of his medical expenses after undergoing surgery for torn biceps. The campaign notes, hello, I'm known professionally as Jake something. I tore my bicep, which required surgery to repair, and being uninsured, the bills are crippling. Oh, God, that's terrible.
Yep.
To add to this, one of my dogs named Leah had to get surgery. Oh no, on the same day as me. What?
Wow.
That's just bad luck. Oh my goodness. Surgery was a success for both of us. Wonderful. We're on the road to recovery now. As reluctant as I am to even create this, I know it's the best chance I have at clearing these fees. I also know that times are tough for everyone, so no worries if you're unable to help. If you are able to help, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Jake. So yeah, I will retweet this. Hopefully we can get people going to this GoFundMe to help out Jake something. There's been a lot of good done with GoFundMe campaigns in the last 6 months with people's injuries, particularly Chris Bay, who just made massive amounts on that GoFundMe, and he deserves every cent of it. And I'm very glad a lot of people were able to help.
I will tell you, I've known Chris Bay for a while, and judge from watching him come from FSW in Vegas to the star he is in New Japan, the star he is in TNA, like the guy has it all. And just to see him get hurt as a wrestler for 31 years, watching someone get hurt, it hurts me. And when I saw that video of him stand up on his birthday and walk over to the camera after the fear that he would never be able to walk again, dude, tears in my eyes. Like, so when people like Jake something, people like Chris Bay, when you see these GoFundMe's, like, do your best to help. Like, because ladies and gentlemen, we put our bodies on the line for your entertainment. And, I mean, yeah, some of us get paid a lot of money to do it. Some of us get paid not a lot of money, but health insurance sucks ass when you're an independent contractor. So,
and he mentioned, unfortunately, that he's uninsured, so the bills are here.
Yeah. I mean, some of us have 9 to 5s where we have insurance where we can have that medical expense covered, but someone who wrestles as for a living 100%, it's hard to get insured. So, please do what you can. I will when this is over, I will make sure that link is put in our chat so we can share it. So speaking of legends, WWE legend Hacksaw Jim Duggan. This is courtesy of Mike Johnson from BW Insider. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, WWE Hall of Famer, has announced on his podcast. Damn, everyone has a podcast these days. Has announced on his podcast that he has signed a new WWE Legends deal with the company. Demolition, who we never thought would sign a Legends deal, have now signed a Legends deal. And now we got Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Man, oh man, oh man. Like I said, the wrestling news never stops, ladies and gentlemen. And Drew, I want to thank you for coming on today, filling in. The seat's always yours. You can always come in when you want to. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching the Roundtable Network News, episode 32. This show is brought to you by TWM.NEWS. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can always go to TWM.com, TWM.NEWS to get all your wrestling news. You can also join us every week when we do live watch-alongs for pay-per-views. You can go sign up for our Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/The Roundtable Network News. Yes, it is long. And Patreon decided to hey, we're not going to let you chop it down. So www.patreon.com/The Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast Network. We'll see you guys on Friday? Well, they'll see you guys on Friday because I will be at a professional wrestling show with Shane and with Josh. So maybe we'll have Sunday Sinner and Drew take over the mixologist Chemical Julian take over Friday nights for SmackDown. But with that being said,
I'm gonna be watching it. That's for sure. Because the final ball.
Exactly. With that being said, AEW's final boss said this.